Welcome everyone to our pitch day. So just as we look to get things started, do want to remind all the viewers that this presentation may contain forward-looking information. There can be no assurance that forward-looking information will prove to be accurate, as actual results and future events could differ materially from those anticipated in such statements. So accordingly, viewers should not place undue reliance on forward-looking information. So with that in mind, we are going to turn things over to Jackson of CABN. CABN is net zero housing for everyone to live anywhere, live sustainably, and live connected. So Jackson, please tell us a little bit more about CABN.
My name is Jackson Wyatt. I'm the CEO of CABN. My background, I had a CPG company that did sustainable products with over 100 SKUs in over 10,000 retailers, did private label, and did advanced manufacturing approach, essentially to take compostable products and compete with single-use plastics. So my experiences in manufacturing, logistics, and eventually scaling that company for an 8-figure exit. Once completing that company and feeling really good about it, I endeavored on kind of looking at the manufacturing approach and the sustainability approach to housing. And I think one of the things is always, what is the problem? I'm pretty sure it's universally known right now, climate crisis, population, aging infrastructure in terms of utilities, and then actually the lack of skilled labor. So for us at CABN, what we did was spend about 2 years with the best climate scientists, engineers, manufacturing strategists, and develop a patent pending process that designs a low energy footprint home that uses about a fifth the energy of a traditional home. That is complemented with a manufacturing approach so that you can essentially build anywhere rapidly, and it can be fully self-sufficient. So it can be solar powered or hyper efficient. We've scaled up, and I'm sitting in our 93,000 square foot facility, which we do a lot of cross-docking, hand processing, and we make these CABN panels. Our production system is unique in the fact that we looked at not just from a manufacturing perspective, but we looked at manufacturing, shipping logistics, the actual assembly, and then finally the ultimate use of the buildings being energy efficient, approaching carbon neutral, and providing their own utilities. We have patents pending on that energy informed design process. We manage our supply chain locally, but as well as through FSC certifications, so that we can approach carbon neutral homes. And then in this facility, we're employing advanced manufacturing, robotics, and CNC to scale us to a capacity from 50 units a year up to the 500 units a year. This Swiss Army knife of a facility has education and training programs being implemented. It has all the different pieces you need to set up an exemplar facility to then go to phase 2, which is the 350,000 square foot end-to-end production facility. Our buildings are that show home that you just probably saw on the front page. That was done in Mallorytown, Ontario. It was funded by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities as part of their Sustainable and Affordable Housing Fund, in which we're a proven product. It was assembled starting January 9th at noon, and then by Thursday, 2 days later, January 11th, the building was up. So the buildings go up, you spend the time to finish out the interiors, and then the buildings themselves as well can work as a sort of scalable infrastructure. So multiple units work together as a network, providing large scale developments. That brings me to kind of the ultimate integration or thought process of CABN, where the independent building is efficient and quick and rapid as a rapid envelope, but ultimately we are a supplier for builders and developers to quickly build homes, particularly net zero homes. So we have in planning a 67-unit development in Eastern Ontario, which has been really, really heralded by Forbes and different other organizations, looking at the CABN buildings working together in a network to provide not just housing, but energy infrastructure. So it ultimately all affects sort of the climate and housing crisis. Currently, we have 4 single-family homes from 500 square feet up to just around 1,850 square feet. We also have a multi-res approach with it's basically 5 townhomes. We have garage, carports, and a warehouse. Because our tech is aligned with rapid energy efficient envelopes, these structures themselves are designed to the shadings in the appropriate place, all the infiltration, every placement of in design of these buildings is about reducing energy per square foot per year, but they're also actually being adopted for other use cases. For example, our warehouse is being implemented as a solar car wash in Ontario currently. And the multi-res is being used as a welcome center one of our projects is a wellness retreat in Sonoma Valley. So the envelope is efficient. The buildings are standardized so that they can be cost-effectively manufactured, but ultimately people can kind of use the equipment and use the kits as they please. To jump right into it, we've been in sort of the R&D phase. We've been essentially bootstrapping a manufacturing facility. In my past business, it was we always kind of set up manufacturing facilities where the raw inputs were, where logistically it made sense, and where the eventual customer was close to. A lot of times the raw inputs would be from all over the world, but particularly for the North American market, 70% of our customers are from the US. Positioning where we are in Brockville is logistically advantageous, but we've been scaling this facility while also selling units. We have a 700-person wait list, with 790 to be precise. We have been turning down and restricting sales based on choosing the right customer, the right client, the right builder, and the right project. We have projects in California, BC, Ontario, Maine, Pennsylvania, New York, a lot where there's financial benefits, and where we want to set up. Most of these projects are set up so they have multiple units following them. So two or three show homes, then 20 units the next year, 50 units the following. So for us, we're looking at that growth and what we need to support that, and that's in this investment. So a majority of our funding received to date, I invested to set this whole company up. I believe in it. We also invested in a nonprofit to go parallel path with this. But we are eligible for a significant amount of financial support due to the net zero benefits of CABN, the proven third-party vetted net zero by FCM, and then all the housing benefits we have. This raise or this investment was brought on by these financial benefits. So we have a commitment of 1.8 million in non-dilutive financing based on this minimum $2 million raise, with stacking multiple $2 and $3 million grants and non-dilutive financing in either just proposed on Monday or being done over the next 3 months. So in total, we're looking at scaling up the facility to get to that 500 units per year, just using this minimum 2 million raise currently. That's the briefest one. I could probably talk about 10 hours about this, but if you want to talk about any of the technology, you want to deep dive in anything, I'm happily talk to anybody. I have a Calendly invite, but also just check out our FrontFundr page, and we can, a lot of the more details are in there as well.
Fantastic. Appreciate you delivering that pitch there, Jackson. And yeah, as Jackson noted, there is a Calendly link at the bottom of the campaign overview, as well as under the important notes on the campaign page for anyone who wants to book 15 minutes with him to ask some more questions. I know you touched on briefly at the end there, Jackson, some of the non-dilutive funding that you guys have available. There was a question from Paul just about any of the support from grants and Shred Innovation funding that you might have received as the company grows, and if you've taken advantage of government funding as a whole, which it sounds like you definitely are. So perhaps you could provide a little bit more insight as to where that kind of non-dilutive funding is coming from currently.
Yeah, like when I set up the company, the first call I had was to talk to some of these federal agencies and FedDev and FCM and Federation of Municipalities to look at how we build the business around being the due diligence of building the data and the modeling so that we'd be accepted for all these programs. We've received over 600,000 in grants, non-repayable, from federal agencies to implement the sustainable and affordable housing strategy. We're in application for just under 4 million currently. We were looking at federal housing manufacturing grants, as well as the standard FedDev and items like that. One of the things is a lot of these rental construction financing programs, CMHC programs, all of them have categories for net zero, where you score basically the barrier to entry to get into these preferred financing programs. So our envelopes offer a tool for builders or developers or aspirational developers doing 5-10 units at a time that they maybe they want to ensure that they are awarded these points to get these preferred financing rates. Pretty much every week, there's another announcement of a grant that we are eligible for, and we have an entire department. And it's actually my previous business partner, Dr. Morgan Wyatt, who works on facilitating some of these grants and working on these and liaising with these agencies.
Fantastic. Appreciate you answering that question. We've had a couple more come through that I'd like to try and get through quickly related to kind of the pricing of the product. So what are the units kind of retailing for, as well as how does it compare to a conventional build?
So our average sale price for the 29 units that are already in production is averaging out to like 490,000, but the majority of people and majority of builders are looking at that 4-bedroom or the multi-unit, so it drives the price up. We're anywhere from 229,000 upwards to 650,000 on the 4-bedroom. If you're thinking about the single family models, they come in both off-grid and on-grid versions. So on-grid is net positive. It's 125 to 140% net positive. And then the off-grid is over 2 times the energy generated that it consumes. So they have an option to kind of add a little bit more solar, add more batteries. Comparable to the market, we are less than any sort of standard sort of custom home. We're less than any sort of passive home, energy efficient home, net zero home. And then with our larger units, we're getting down to $200 a square foot, which is great. And with this facilitation of CNC and robotics, we're seeing massive decreases in our sort of COGS. We set the company up to kind of worst case, and we're getting the customers in that are buying and purchasing the equipment at that worst case. And every month that goes by, we reduce the costs, which is again part of the government mandate. So that's what we're filling that gap.
Fantastic. Well, there's one more question I'd like to try and get through today. If Jackson, you can answer it a little relatively quickly, but it's an investor wanting to know a little bit more about the nonprofit's objectives.
So the nonprofit, I thought it was very important to have in place, because with patents, there's sometimes a shield, sometimes a sword. When we're advancing the technology and we're isolating our componentization process and doing all these patents on material utilization, connection details, all these things, I wanted to have an aperture that could allow a working relationship with First Nations groups, affordable housing providers, different other groups that may be a sector that needs to be serviced. In that, it's allowed us actually to start working on health centers for First Nations groups, live work centers, various other projects that we can take the CABN envelopes, but have them modified for cultural or geographic or cost reasons. And that's what that foundation does. It just works with those groups. It supports those grants. It adds that kind of give back to and uses the technology in a new way, where then on the for-profit side, we can focus purely on the mechanics, the manufacturing optimization, and the fulfillment of product to like our builder partners. So that I thought it was very important right from the outset to set that up, and then have 3 years of financials at the same time that both companies have them, so we can be eligible for all sorts of different programs as well.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for the fantastic pitch today, Jackson, and for answering those questions. Really appreciate you running a little bit over on time there to tackle the last one. For those who do want to learn more, you can visit frontfundr.com/CABN, CABN. It is open to accredited investors only at this time. And as Jackson mentioned, you could book some time with him directly on the campaign page there. So just as we look to wrap things up today, I do want to thank everyone for joining. For those who may have any questions about FrontFundr or getting started, some quick information on our side. Just we are Canada's leading equity crowdfunding platform. We make it easy for Canadians to invest in the most exciting startups and growth stage companies. We've been doing this for a long time, over 150 raises, 200 million processed, 22,000 investments across a community of 40,000 investors. And if you do have any questions at any time, visit our website, frontfundr.com, and you can always reach out to support@frontfundr.com for any questions about the investment process or getting started with FrontFundr today. So definitely encourage everyone to check out all of the companies who pitched today. It's a fantastic 5 firms, so we're very thankful to have them. And to everyone who delivered a pitch, thank you for doing such a wonderful job and for joining us with investors today. So thank you, everyone.